Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another segment of the Educational AD podcast. We'll be right back with today's guest, but as always, we want to give a shout out to our sponsors. So stay with us for 3 minutes, listen to our shout outs, then listen to our interview, and then go and visit these sponsors. I'm telling you, you're going to be glad you did. We want to encourage you to go to Vital Signs Wall of Fame to check out their interactive touchscreen video consoles. It's a great way to show off your school record boards, show off your school Hall of Fame, or just brag a little bit about your school's history. You put one of these in your gym lobby, your auditorium, it's going to be a magnet for kids, coaches, alumni. It's vitalsignswalloffame.com. We also want to say thanks to Gipper. Your kids are on social media, and if you're not posting content to celebrate their accomplishments, you're missing out on a great opportunity. Go to Gipper.com. It's used and trusted by over 20,000 high school and colleges. It's professional graphic design made easy. The team at Gipper is going to have you creating social media posts, newsletters, and more. And it's so easy, even I can do it. Go to Gipper.com for more information. We want to thank Home Campus. Home Campus is a platform you're going to use every single day, whether it's scheduling, rosters, results. For me, the athletic clearance and eligibility platform alone is gold. Go to homecampus.com to get started. We want to say thanks to Snap Raise. Snap Raise is the number one online fundraising platform. We used it at our school, tremendous success. I'm telling you, it works. If you've ever been frustrated with a fundraising project, those days are over. Go to snapraise.com for more information. That's snapraise.com. We'd like to thank Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. My assistant AD, along with thousands of others, got his master's through the Ohio program. It's tremendous. You also complete 11 NIAAA leadership training courses while you earn your master's. Go to ohio.edu/info/MAA. We'd like to say thanks to Hometown. Hometown is changing the game for schools and organizations with their suite of solutions for digital ticketing, fee-free fundraising, and athletic websites. Whether you're an AD, a coach, or a school administrator, Hometown makes it easy for you to save time, raise more money, and bring your community together. You can learn more at hometownticketing.com. We also want to thank Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. You can schedule a live web demo to see their products in action. Probably the best purchase I ever made was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Go to sidelineinteractive.com to get started. And we'd like to say thanks to Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years. As an AD, we were a Huddle school, and our coaches, our student athletes, and our parents just loved all the tools. Join the 8 million users that use Huddle. 8 million. Turn your school into a Huddle school. And we want to thank Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. And here's the deal, particularly with parents, 98% of them are going to give you a positive review. And having that data is incredibly valuable, especially when you're visiting with your principal or maybe your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. Get that custom survey done today. athleticsurveys.com. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. It's one of our back to college episodes. We've got a college athletic director. We're going to be visiting today with Lisa Ann Higgins. We're going to call her L.A. Higgins. She is got a tremendous background in athletics already at an early stage of her career. She's originally from Florida. We're going to hear all about that. But she's currently the assistant athletic director at Texas State University. Obviously, that's in Texas. L.A. Higgins, welcome to the Educational AD Podcast.
Thanks, Jake. Happy to be here.
Well, you and I were talking before. It's a busy time for our listeners. We're recording this on February 11th, so it's going to be a timely listen when you are tuning in. LA, we always like to let our listeners have a chance to get to know our guests. So Give us that quick bio, where you were born, where you grew up. Take us up through your own, let's say, high school and college days. And then we're going to take a break. But what's the LA Higgins origin story?
Absolutely. So, born and raised in South Florida, Palm Beach County to be exact. Went to the King's Academy in West Palm Beach, Florida. I was on the cheerleading and track and field programs, those teams there. I won four of the first five state championships at King's Academy in cheerleading, back in the day. From there, I actually went to Ole Miss for my first 2 years of college. I wanted the opposite of what I got in a small private Christian school. So, what's better than the SEC? I like to say I live all walks of life, and I was at Ole Miss, and I was a sorority girl. I was a founding member of Alpha Phi. But my dream was always to cheer in college. So through a series of fun events, I ended up at East Mississippi Community College, on the cheerleading program there. East Mississippi, if you're familiar with that, that would be the original Last Chance U docu-series on Netflix. And after 3 years in the state of Mississippi, it was time to come home. So I transferred back to FAU, Florida Atlantic University in Boca Raton, which was the school in my backyard, growing up. And transferred there, finished up my bachelor's degree while interning with the athletic department, and started my MBA in sport management, in January of 2021. Um, and that's my education so far. There might be future plans for a PhD.
All right. Well, good for you. I always love to hear the stories. People listen to the podcast, they hear me say that all the time, but I do. I just love it. And having started, well, not started, having spent a big chunk of my career in South Florida, a little bit further south, Broward County, very familiar with King's Academy. Our schools played each other. That you're absolutely right. That was a very successful program. And
Mhm.
we've talked about, Chris Hobbs,
Yep.
longtime AD at King's Academy. Can you think back to your time at the King's Academy? Got to say it right. Um,
Yes.
was there a moment? I'm a big moments guy. Was there a moment, and maybe that moment was a meet, maybe it was a season, maybe it was your whole time there, but can you think of a moment that at the time it really didn't seem like much. But now, looking back with experience and perspective, and the fact that you are an athletic director yourself, you can point to that moment and say, hey, that was a significant time for me. Anything stick out for you?
I would say having I made the decision at the end of my junior year, that I wasn't going to return to the competition cheerleading team, and I was going to um focus on cheering game days and mainly just do football and basketball season cheerleading. There was a lot of factors that went into that decision. But looking back, I think I can confidently say now that, um, the way that I look forward to game days, whether that be football or basketball or volleyball or softball, um, I think that decision, wanting to focus on being a game day cheerleader more than a competitor myself. Um, I think that that's a testament to like what I do now and the way I look forward to taking on game days.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that. I'm going to guess there's a lot of cheerleaders that would go through that decision because competition cheer and whether it's spirit cheer, sideline cheer, whatever you want to call it, they're two very important activities. They're athletic activities. I was always blessed with great cheer coaches and cheer athletes as an AD. So I mean we they were one of our teams. We just loved them. You also mentioned that you were a track and field athlete. As an old track guy, I got to ask, what were your what were your events?
So, a little out of the park here, because I definitely do not have the normal body type that you would expect, but I was a pole vaulter. Um, I was a pole vaulter and then I did long jump and triple jump. So I did more of the field side of track and field. It wasn't pretty when I had to run a 400, so coach learned that early in the season. But and I'm mainly a pole vaulter, and then I enjoyed doing long jump and triple jump just because that's kind of where I got my start in things. I started track and field conditioning in the off season of cheerleading. Um, and the reason I got into pole vault was because my dad, who was a football, baseball, basketball athlete, he also did pole vault, and I was not going to be a football player. I wasn't going to be a softball player. I can't dribble a ball. So he and I got to bond over our shared love for pole vaulting.
That is so cool. Our son was a pole vaulter in high school and college, and did fairly well. I I was a hurdler, and I could
Okay.
coach just about everything in track, with the exception of the pole vault. I could get a seventh grader up on the pole and get him to turn, but after
Uh-huh.
that, he needed a real coach, and we had a great pole vault coach at our school. Let's go and fast forward to your college days. You know, the the journey that you took, it reminded me a little bit of my journey 100 years earlier. I got to hear a story about East Mississippi, and you, in your own words, last chance. Is there anything you could share with our listeners?
I mean, that just the athletes that and obviously things have changed in the past, 7, 8 years, especially at the college level with everything that's going on. But the athletes that come through a JUCO, in your traditional sports, in your football, your baseball. We had a national championship rodeo team, but um those athletes just from JUCOs across the board, it's truly a different type of work ethic because the only thing that you have to do there is your sport and school. Um and I will say I'm gonna defend my guy Buddy Stevens a little bit. I know Buddy got a lot of a, a lot of pushback for his language in season one, but I have to say I think Buddy Stevens is not only a phenomenal coach, but one of like the nicest human beings I've ever met. So I'm like, that's what I'll say about my time at Scuba Tech, but grateful for it, and I got to cheer for a national championship. So.
There you go. And again, every stop we make, it's an experience for us.
Mhm.
Very cool stuff. Let's go and take our first break. For our listeners, we're visiting today with L.A. Higgins, Florida native, but now she's the assistant athletic director at Texas State University. We're going to hear about that and more. So please stay with us. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We want to thank our good friends at Vital Signs Wall of Fame for their support. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards for all the teams, for all the different events, or to show off your school's Hall of Fame, go to Vital Signs Wall of Fame and take a look at their interactive touch screen video consoles. I'm telling you, if you put one of these units, whether it's a floor console or a wall mount, you put one of these in your gym lobby, your auditorium, or anywhere in your campus, it's going to be a magnet for your students, for your coaches, for your sponsors, for alums. Go to Vital Signs Wall of Fame. Take a look at their great products. I'm telling you, you're going to be glad you did. We also want to say thank you to Gipper. Go to Gipper.com and their team will have you creating world-class marketing content in seconds. Gipper's used and trusted by over 20,000 high school and college athletic programs. And whether it's a social media post to celebrate a big win or an entire newsletter that's sharing all the great things that your athletic department does with your community, the Gipper team is going to have you up and running in no time. It's professional graphic design made easy. How easy? Well, it's so easy, even I can do it. Go to Gipper.com for more information. Don't forget to mention the podcast, Gipper.com. Welcome back, everybody, to the Educational AD Podcast. Our guest once again is L.A. Higgins. She is the Assistant Athletic Director at Texas State. We're going to hear more about that, but LA, you were a Florida native and you ended up finishing your career in Florida at FAU Florida Atlantic. And that was really kind of the start of your working career too. Take our listeners through that journey.
Absolutely. So when I transferred to FAU, I was coming in as a school junior, but it was in technically my fourth fall of college. So, um, needed that involvement and didn't really have the natural built-in things that you would as a freshman to get that involvement. Didn't reaffiliate a sorority, so and I cheered for a national championship at East, so I didn't want to cheer for FAU in that sense. And I also still had UCA staff, so I know that we'll touch on that, but I really loved sports. I was a marketing major, so I figured, oh, I'll go be an athletic marketing intern. And I got my start, and I'm still actually really close with my first boss, who was there. And about after a semester of being a marketing intern, I was like, you know what? I like this. I like being around the athletes and being around athletics, but I don't like being as behind the scenes as I am. And I looked at Michael and Alvin, who ended up being my bosses a couple years later. And I walked up to them and I was like, "Do y'all need a new intern?" So I started as a development intern with them, and really fell in love with what an athletic department, what their development team does in not just the philanthropy of it, but it's truly business development and outside of fundraising, it's friend raising, and you get to be that first line of defense and first line of action for an athletic department. And so as I finished up my undergrad as an intern and started that MBA sport program at FAU, the goal of that program is to secure a full-time role in sports before graduation. And I was blessed to have done that within my first semester. And I was offered the role of executive assistant to the athletics director and vice president at FAU. And I started that in May of 2021. So I served as Brian White's admin for about 2.5 years. And that was kind of a unique situation because I was, 23, 24 years old, and I'm in a room with, not just the athletic director, but the senior associate ADs and deputy athletic directors. And those were my peers on a daily and weekly basis. And those are people who have made it, at the pinnacle or the, penultimate moment of their careers. Um, and Brian was a great athletic director and great mentor and supervisor in that he knew that I wanted more. But it was a great learning experience just to start there.
I know of a number of at the high school level, they were
Mhm.
administrative assistants that use that position, as I guess, a jumping point to actually becoming athletic directors, very successful athletic directors. While you were in that role, when you got hired as the executive assistant, you're in the room. Was it ever in your mind, or let me ask you this way, when did it enter your mind that, hey, I can do this, or I want to do this, or both?
So it was actually probably 6 months prior to me being offered the role. And I knew Brian and Brian knew who I was, but there was still some distance. And so when I was offered the role, I don't want to say it came out of nowhere, but I was confused because I was like, well, does he know that I want to be an athletic director? Um, and then I sat down with him and I asked him that point blank, and he was like, "Why do you think I'm offering you this role?" He was like, "Yes." And so he part of part of me wanting to be an athletic director, and I think to some extent I knew what it looked like, but I didn't know the ins and outs and the day-to-days that he would have to deal with. And he was great in the sense that he taught me what I would have to deal with. And most of his days were spent on the phone talking to other people, asking people, whether it be in our conference or his peers, what are you guys doing for this upcoming thing? And really learned the day-to-day expectations of that role, and also what we care about, what he cares about from that up top level, and that executive level. Taught me the importance of campus relationships with your university president, with your all the constituents, your board of trustees. um, I appreciate the time I was his admin for, because it was the pivotal time, because it was when Florida Atlantic decided to leave Conference USA and join the American, and all the different pieces and people that were involved in that. And it wasn't just hey, we had a good football team. So it's a financial piece and it's an academic, it's people aligning themselves, academically with other institutions and how much the president has to do with it and the faculty athletic rep and how many people are truly involved in that decision. Um, so yeah, I'm sorry to ramble on about that one, but I think Brian knew I wanted to be an athletic director, so he really took me under his wing and kind of gave me those tools.
As you obviously continue to grow in the job, okay, we'll go to another moment. When were you actively seeking opportunities? Did the Texas State job, did they come to you? How did that all play out?
Absolutely. So, after after I was after our Final Four run in 2023, which was absolutely incredible, and just to be, an AD's assistant during that time, I have so many questions. I'm going to him and I'm like, "Hey, is this normal? Hey, what are we supposed to do for this?" And it was at one point that he looked at me and he was like, "LA, I don't know. I haven't done this before." And I was like, okay, okay. Learning, both of us are learning. After that summer, he knew I really wanted to get into development. He was extremely supportive of that. When I took the role in spring of 2021, he was like, I don't want you in this role forever. I want this to be how you get your start. And he really supported me in looking for other opportunities. So that summer 2023, I was looking for other opportunities and looking at other jobs. And it just so happened that at the same time, Florida Atlantic, the advancement team over there, decided, oh, athletics probably does need some more help on the fundraising and development side. Um, and so fall 2023, I transitioned into director of development role at FAU, which I was really, really thrilled about and got to grow in that space and get my first start in the fundraising aspect and the solicitation of gifts aspect um, on that side. And then um, and it was great. I was grateful to do it because it was a place that I'd known and I was comfortable doing it at. And then um, going into this past summer, I was looking for a little more experience, maybe somewhere that I hadn't always been, because it was a new role that was created there. There wasn't a lot of direction, or I shouldn't say direction. Hold on, sorry. Um, sorry. Because it was a new role that was created at FAU, there wasn't a lot of upward growth trajectory that was already pre-planned for what that next move would be. So I was looking for what was out there, and the Texas State role came about. And what attracted me about the Texas State role was it's a similar size institution to FAU, so I wasn't going to be overwhelmed or anything like that. But um, awesomely successful uh, football program under GJ Kinney. Basketball, both programs are growing, and then baseball and softball, historically, both great programs here. Volleyball makes it to an NCAA tournament every year. A lot of really good things happening at this G5 school in Central Texas. Um, and I was comfortable. I'm comfortable at a G5, at a group of five level because it's not going to be joining a staff of people I don't know, um, and different areas like that. So, when this role came about and just talking to, the people that were already here, especially my supervisor, Solomon Randall, um, being able to be honest with him about what I was seeking out, because why would I leave FAU? I had it really good. And it was comfortable. So talking with him and really telling him, hey, I want fundraising experience and I want to be able to grow. he was able he was able to make this transition pretty easy.
Wow. Again, the details that go with it, the background, all the players that are involved, I think it's just so helpful for our listeners. Let's go and take another break. But when we come back, we're going to take a deep dive, a deeper dive into all things at Texas State. Our guest today, once again, is L.A. Higgins. Now we can say longtime athletic administrator at the college level. Let's take that break, but we're coming back. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We want to say thank you to Home Campus for their support of the podcast. Home Campus is one of those platforms that you're going to use every single day, whether it's scheduling, rosters, results. For me, the athletic eligibility and clearance platform alone is worth the price. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to homecampus.com. That's it. Go to homecampus.com. We want to say thanks to our friends at Snap Raise. Have you ever spent weeks and weeks with a fundraiser and been disappointed in the results? Well, those days are gone. Go to snapraise.com. It's hands down the best online fundraiser out there. We used it at our school with our teams, had great success. Coaches loved it, parents loved it because it works. Go to snapraise.com. You can check out their other great platforms. But if you're looking for a fundraiser, you just found it. It's snapraise.com. We also want to say thanks to our good friends at Hometown Ticketing. Hometown is changing the game for schools and organizations with their suite of solutions for things like digital ticketing, athletic websites, fee-free fundraising, and a lot more. Whether you're an athletic director, coach, or school administrator, Hometown makes it so easy for schools to save time, raise more money, and bring your community together. You can learn more at hometownticketing.com. That's hometownticketing.com. Welcome back, everybody, to the Educational AD Podcast. Our guest is L.A. Higgins. She's the Assistant Athletic Director for Development at Texas State. LA, you did a great job of kind of doing that behind the scenes information of making that change from FAU to Texas State. I guess one question is, obviously you had a tremendous learning experience, practical application, a Final Four run while you were at FAU. Not everybody gets to put that on the resume, but still, and these are my words, not yours. Okay. You were early in your career. Okay. You had never had this position, a director of development, and, a woman coming from Florida. How did you sell yourself to that hiring committee? How did you convince them? And obviously you did. How did you convince them that they needed to hire L.A. Higgins for this position?
I think that there is a few things. One of them being, and I think this goes for any fundraising or development role, was that I know how to fundraise and I know how to solicit for gifts, because that's at the end of the day what the job is. Um, but that I have a familiarity with, I would say, overnight success of a sports program. With that Final Four run, we went from basketball just being another sport that we had to go to on a Thursday night to 17 straight home sellouts for a men's basketball program, and all the fun and stress that came with an ultra successful basketball program, fundraising for NIL to keep the roster together. Um, and then being on the development side of things in spring 2024, after basketball season wrapped up, and head men's basketball coach Dusty May was offered and ended up taking the job at Michigan. Um, what goes into a coaching search when it, I've been on the side of things when a coaching search, the coach hasn't performed up to the abilities, and so you need to make a change within that team. But now being on the side of it, being at a G5 school when a Power Four comes and plucks your coach off for money that you're just not going to match. I think that was a big selling point for me. As far as it goes, is you know how to spin it and how to talk about the success of the new coach, and trusting the administration made that right new hire for when unfortunately GJ will get hired away from us one day. That was a big piece of it. And then um, just wanting to be somewhere and really wanting to see it grow. Having the confidence to say that, hey, I know that we can do better things here, and I can help you get there. I think the confidence piece of it was really big, and the ability to connect with the people on my interview of, how if I were to get this role, how would we work together, and what would I be able to do for you, and what would your expectations be for me, and being able to lay out in front of them that not only could I meet those expectations, but we could have fun doing it. Um, and that I think those are the things that I was able to talk about at at what my experience was at FAU and how it could translate to Texas State, and then also in the fact that I am young and ambitious, and I have something to prove myself, and that's as a fundraiser. And Texas State would be a great opportunity for me to do that.
Oh, I love it. Key points. Okay. Talking about your strengths, your experience, and again, turning that, and again, this is the old guy talking, turning that youth slash enthusiasm into an asset rather than somebody saying, oh, well, she's too young. Oh, great stuff. One of our regular guests is Katie Pate. She's
Mhm.
the director of development at George Mason. Gonna have to, if you're not already, we're gonna have to connect
Yeah,
you too. Okay.
absolutely.
Um, let's go and talk about and Katie's mentioned this, and you certainly alluded to it, that making the ask, okay, getting that gift, whatever, however you want to phrase it, advancement, it's a skill. And it was a skill that I didn't have. I struggled. I could brag about our program. I knew it was a great investment, but for whatever reason, I wasn't wired. "Hey, can you give us some money?" So I'm envious and admirable of people who have that tool. Can you share a little bit of how you use your tools to further the programs at Texas State?
Absolutely. I think that I went to a professional development conference a couple years ago, and I heard a keynote speaker, and he kept asking, what's your super party, excuse me, what's your superpower? What does that look like? And for me, I can confidently say that my superpower is I want to make people feel special. And I want for people to know that I'm listening to them just as much as I'm talking to them. I think on the fundraising side, listening is more important than the talking, because I'm listening to what they care about. If they really care about student athlete scholarships and endowments, if they really care about a facility project, if they just point blank really care about the benefits that come at that top giving level, but what they care about, why they give to Texas State, and leveraging that in conversation with them. And I've said this to my assistant director that I oversee. I'll say this on calls with fundraisers, you know, that are my peers of it's the ask isn't the hardest part, it's getting the meeting that is. Because if they know what I do, which for the most part, if I'm talking to them, they know what my job title is, they know what development is. Um, if I can get them on a lunch or get them to dinner or get them to coffee, they know what's coming down the pipe, and it's going to be an ask. And I will say that most of the time, if I put off bringing up, hey, let's talk about Bobcat Club for this year. Um, if I can wait for me to pay the check, they'll bring it up and they'll tell me what they're willing to do. Um, and so I'll say that a lot of the time is yes, being aggressive with, hey, we're in a business of revenue generation, especially how college athletics stands right now. But listening to people and figuring out what they care about and connecting with them on that level, that's what the job is. It's fundraising, but it's also a lot of fun raising. So connecting with them on what they care about and what their passions are. I like to say that we're at the intersection of education and sports, and I get to, in a philanthropic way, um, help help connect passions that I think almost everyone cares about, one or the other or both.
Uh, I was caught thinking there at one of the schools I was at here in Florida. We had a very um, a very effective advancement department, and they helped the as I when I came on as AD, they helped us transition from a model where teams were doing their own fundraising and their parents were doing fundraising to where the institution was providing all of our teams, and they pretty much already did anyway, with the funding and the resources that we needed because advancement from a school perspective, they were looking for a $500 donation. They were looking for a $500,000 donation, and the same people would be writing those two checks. So
Mhm.
I'm so it just kind of makes me excited that you at the at college level have this idea of fundraising and fundraising and that how they can work together, but they got to literally work
Yeah,
together. Um,
absolutely.
we're going to do this at the end of the podcast, but if one of our listeners wanted to reach out, pick your
Mhm.
brain a little bit about, athletic administration, fundraising, advancement, or just add you to their network. What's the best way that our listeners can connect with LA Higgins?
Absolutely. I'm on LinkedIn at Lisa dash Ann Higgins. Um, open to LinkedIn connections as always. And then best email for me is going to be lahiggins at txstate.edu. So those would be I'm more than happy to hop on calls, hop on Zooms, talk with people, connect with people. I think I've found that a small passion of mine is is helping people and just talking to them about what they want to do and how I can share my background and what they can take away from it.
Oh, I love it. Okay. And again, we'll give out that information
Mhm.
again at the end of the podcast.
Okay.
Um, let's go and take another break. I know that's shocking to our regular listeners, but we're going to come back with more from LA Higgins and give a shout out to our sponsors too. So stick around. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We want to say thanks to Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. Now, I didn't get my master's from Ohio University, but my assistant athletic director did, along with thousands of others. And it was a great experience. It's very affordable, just 20 months, totally online. And while you are earning your master's degree, you're also completing 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. To get more information, just go to ohio.edu/info/MAA, the Ohio University Online Masters. We also want to say thank you to Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and you can schedule a live web demo to see all of their great products in action. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Of course, we use it for home games, but we also use it for pep rallies, for signing ceremonies. It's tremendously versatile, and their customer service is just outstanding. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Schedule that live web demo today. And we'd like to say thank you to Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years. As an athletic director, I made sure that our school was a Huddle school. And our coaches, all of our coaches, just loved the tools that Huddle provided. Our student athletes love the videos, and our parents love the streaming, but there's so much more. Go to huddle.com, join the 8 million users, and turn your school into a Huddle school. That's huddle.com. Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the Educational AD Podcast. Once again, our guest is L.A. Higgins. She's the assistant director of athletics for development at Texas State University. LA, you probably get tired of me saying this, but for listeners, you're at the beginning of your career. You've already had incredible success at FAU, part of a Final Four run. You made the jump to the Texas school and building that program. Um, as a woman in, let's face it, what has traditionally been a man's world, what are some of the keys to success that you can share with our listeners, not just the women, but all of our listeners. But yeah, you can talk to the women too.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have been really blessed to have some really great mentors in this industry. And I will say that some of um, my favorite mentors have been men that are just champions for women, and want to see not just me but women in our space succeed. In fundraising, it's a very male dominated space. Every time I go to NAD at NACDA, I'm like, is this Cole Haan City? Because all the guys are in their Peter Millar shirt and Cole Haan shoes. Um, but you know, I think one of the biggest things that I've learned is to be yourself. And I know that's really cliche and cheesy, but um, in especially in a fundraising space, there's a there's a level of trust that you really need to have, and genuine connection that needs to be made. And I can't make a genuine connection if I'm not myself. Um, I'm a 5 foot tall, blonde haired, former cheerleader. So definitely not what you would expect, especially with other women in sports. I'm not a former basketball player. I'm definitely not at eye level with a lot of the guys that I'm talking to. So really leaning into what traditionally people wouldn't call a strength, but really leaning into who I am as a person. I wear a lot of sparkles, I wear a lot of pink, but that's what works for me. So I'd say that being yourself is I mean a key to success and a key to confidence in anything that you do. Um, but uh, she's the former director of football operations at FAU, and um, her name's Julie Reed, and I was really blessed to I'm still blessed to have a relationship with her. And probably about a month into me being hired as Brian's admin, she and I worked in the same building, and we were catching up literally at like a water fountain. And she was like, I'm really proud of you. And just know that, now that you have a seat at the table, it's time for you to make space for the next woman up. And that's just really stuck with me and been influential for me in you know, I look to, you know, my SWA at FAU, who really gave me the opportunity and mentored me as Brian's admin. Um, the spaces that she created for me to be successful in, um, and really looking out for the next generation and for the next people, whether it be male or female, but who I can help get to a seat at the table. Those are two really big things is you know being appreciative of who came before you, and making space for who's going to come after you, um, and then finally just leaning on the other women that I know in this field. Some of my best friends are women in fundraising, um, and I think a lot of that comes from we have similar backgrounds, and we have similar struggles on a day-to-day basis, whether that be you're the only woman on the team. So when an event comes along, guess who's doing an event? Um, and finding a balance between what your strengths are and what your job description is, and how to go about that in a polite way. But I will say that relying on other women that I have around me has been transformational and created some of my best personal friendships and professional ones.
Wow, great points, and it's something that is not lost on me because I share this all the time. Early in my career, I was reluctant to reach out and try to connect and network and ask for advice. I didn't want to appear like I was a dope because I didn't know everything, and I was a dope for not doing that. And so when I finally made that um, move, I guess, and was broke down and started asking people, hey, can you, share that idea? What do you do with that offense? Or, in track and field, how do you do that? It was just such a tidal wave of rewards and, return on investment. That's why I tell ADs right now and young coaches, young ADs, reach out, build your network. Um, as you look at your position now, and again, I'm not trying to shove you out the door, but do you see this as um, the focus in development and advancement? Is that where you want to be here? Are you thinking maybe a college director of athletics and managing the whole show? What are your thoughts right now? I know I'm putting you on the spot here.
Yeah, I mean, the dream's still to be a Division I college athletic director. That's definitely the dream. Um, I think that the tried and true path, one of the tried and true paths is to the chair is through fundraising and development. Just to show people that you know how to fundraise money. I happen to really enjoy the space right now, so I'm not ready to make that jump back out of it yet. But I'd love to run my own shop one day, run my own development team, and but eventually, prior to that, to the big chair, I would love to make a transition back to being a chief of staff and running just day-to-day administrative operations. Because I have that background as Brian's admin. Um, I'm very type A, as a lot of my friends like to remind me too. I like things done a certain way, and I think that I definitely would have the strength to be a chief of staff, and really learn the ropes at that top level of an executive role, prior to making the jump to a big chair. So, um, that's that's the path that I would like to follow. But who knows what's out there.
No, well, no, it's good to have, whether it's a goal or an idea, it's a big picture. And then think about being type A. I think that's in our DNA. That's why we do what we do. Very cool. Ellie, this has just been so cool spending some time with you. I hope we can do some more down the road. But we're not done yet. We always wrap up with a segment we call the Athletic Director's Toolbox. And you certainly establish you know your way around the world of athletics. We're going to take our final commercial, hear from Athletic Surveys, who sponsor this segment. When we come back, I'm going to challenge you to send out a brand new athletic administrator on their very first job. But I'm only going to let you put three things in their toolbox. So let's take that break. And when we come back, we're going to see what L.A. Higgins puts in her new athletic director toolbox. We also want to say thank you to Athletic Surveys for sponsoring the AD Toolbox segment. In my school, we use surveys for everything, for student athletes, for coaches, for parents. And the information that would come back was almost always over the top positive. But we also got to hear from those squeaky wheel parents and listen to their concerns, which were usually small, and we could address them and keep them from becoming big. But here's the cool thing, all of that positive data, all that feedback was incredibly valuable, especially when you were visiting with a frustrated parent, or maybe your principal, or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. That's athleticsurveys.com. Don't forget to mention the podcast, athleticsurveys.com. Well, it's that time of the podcast. We've been visiting today with somebody I'm going to call a new friend to the show, L.A. Higgins. She's got a tremendous background in athletics, currently the assistant director of development for athletics at Texas State. L.A., you've had time to think about this. What three tools are going to go into your new athletic director toolbox?
The three tools, the first one would be a really detailed calendar. So you know when to be where, who, what, when, where, why. Um, Again, this goes back to me being really type A, but um, a detailed calendar keeps me on track and it helps me set my priorities in my to-do list from the ending the day, going into the next day, what needs to get done. Um, for that day, for that week, and for that month. So a detailed calendar and to-do list would be the first one. Second one would be a notepad of any color of your choosing. Mine happens to be pink, because it makes me happy and gives me a personality in any room that I sit in. But a notepad every time I meet with people, whether it's a subordinate or a superior or a supervisor, I'm writing things down to make sure that I know the conversation that I'm having with them, to go back, look back, what I was feeling that during that time, what they were feeling, and what their concerns were. So writing everything down on a notepad. And then the last thing would be a Diet Coke. I have yet to meet a college athletic administrator who didn't at least at one point have a severe problem with Diet Coke. And I think that it keeps you going throughout the day. And it's always a good talking point with others.
Oh my goodness. I love them all. We're gonna start with that detailed calendar. One of the most frequently mentioned tools is the tool of organization, and certainly having that calendar for all things, personal and professional. The pink pad, I didn't go with the pink pad, but I'm very old school. I still have my day runner planner where I write everything down. I would tell our coaches that you might have a ball game on your website or on your calendar, but if it's not in my journal, that game doesn't exist. I would have coaches, I'd be on the road and they'd take a photo of my desk calendar and send it to me. It's on your calendar, coach. And then your Diet Coke. We have had over 2,000 total tool suggestions. Some have been repeated, like organization. I don't think we've ever had Diet Coke, but um, I'm right there with you because several years ago, while I was still an athletic director, I made the switch to Coke Zero. Okay,
Okay.
tastes like real Coke, but they used to say 0 calories. Now it's zero sugar. So if you haven't tried Coke Zero, I'm telling you, you got to do a taste test. Hey, so
Okay.
that, great suggestions. I love them. LA, one more time. If one of our listeners wants to reach out, pick your brain a little bit, or just connect, add you to their network. We already said how important that was. What's the best way that they can get a hold of you?
On LinkedIn, it's going to be Lisa Ann Higgins, and there's a dash between Lisa and Ann. And then my email address at Texas State is going to be LA Higgins at txstate.edu. I'm happy to hop on a call anytime that works for both of us, and happy to keep growing this industry.
Oh, well, absolutely. Thanks again for sharing with us. You've given all of our listeners and me another team to watch, as we scroll through, ESPN competition with baseball and softball starting up. We'll certainly look for those Texas State Bobcats. Thanks again for sharing and all the best moving forward.
Thank you. Happy to be on.
For our listeners, we want to say thanks to you. And just a reminder that we upload the Zoom recordings of every interview to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We do this just about every day. We try to share stories and best practices from the world of athletics. So come back and join us again for another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next time.